Welcome to a free for all Friday for the Carolina Panthers, folks. Trying some new stuff. This is actually the normal way that I would do a podcast. I've kind of changed it over the last 2 to 3 weeks, getting more granular, bringing in resources and videos, clips, audio, pictures, images. But today we're doing a true free-for-all episode where, you know what, I get to talk about whatever I want. You don't know what's going to be talked about, so you got to tune in to find out. And I have general notes, general thoughts in my head, but we're going to talk about them as they come up. Why not? So free-for-all Friday, I'm debating on creating a, weekly recap. Got a lot of things in the works. I'm also still, if you guys follow the college football content, trying to start working in more college football content, figuring it out. It's a little bit bumpy because it just takes me a little bit to get there. But now, let's get into the Carolina Panthers Free for All Friday. We have to start with the continuation of Cam Newton and Steve Smith Sr. All the beef. Folks, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the 4th and 1 show. I have not had a chance to listen to the full episode, but from what fans were posting and in the clip, I saw the clip, there was a lot of talk about this beef. I mean, Cam didn't shy away from it. He pulled up the tweets from Steve Smith Sr. on the show and addressed it. He took accountability for it. And here's where I sit with this entire situation. My viewpoint on this has not changed. And he said the thing that I said, that people are simply too sensitive. They are. An overly sensitive generation, overly sensitive just world that we live in right now. This is not one of those things. Like, when you sit down and analyze and think about what Cam was saying, there was truth to every piece of it. When he called them losers, he was generally speaking about the culture. To take that personally, that's like me coming into a job or getting hired somewhere or coming into a situation where you're taking over a company that's in a ton of debt, that's falling apart. Like, yeah, you're coming in and saying, well, yeah, this is not good. They're terrible. They clearly haven't figured it out. That's why they fired their CEO. That's why they did this and this, and why you're coming in and hired to fix the situation and problem. I don't care what you did 2 years ago. You're coming off a 2-14 football season, and you're bad. And you know what Cam also acknowledged, if you have not had a chance to listen to it? He acknowledged that he was part of the losing as well. Like, he said he didn't come in to save the day. This was not about him saying that he was coming in to save the day either. So for me, my opinion on this is still the same. What drives me really crazy about this is the Panthers fans, and you can believe whatever you want. I'm not going to bash you. I know there's fans that are very loyal to Steve Smith Sr. Yeah, that's great. Fans that are loyal to Cam Newton, all that. Cam is bigger than the team right now, in my opinion. You look at his success in media. I've talked about it. I think he's just bigger than the Carolina Panthers right now, considering how bad the Carolina Panthers are. Now, if the Carolina Panthers start winning, they figure it out, if they can get this thing on the right track, yeah, kind of balances itself out. But to me, I'd go back and think about Deion Sanders. This is what I just don't get from people. Remember when Deion Sanders took over for Colorado? I don't know how many people follow college football that closely. I don't know how many people saw the documentary, saw the clips. I did. Immediately when he went there, goes into the team meeting, the gathering, brings in all the, existing players, basically told them how bad they were and said they're not good enough and you need to hit the transfer portal because he's bringing in his guys. You have a grown man coming in, taking over a college program with young kids, young men, telling them straight to their face that they suck and they're terrible. I think they were 1-11 before Deion got there. And it just baffles me that people are upset that Cam Newton is over here bashing how bad the football team was for the Carolina Panthers. Like, the rationale doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And I didn't see people getting that up in arms. I mean, people were like a little like, oh, wait, what's going on here? But for me, I don't know. I think I agree with Cam. From a sensitivity standpoint, I wouldn't take it personal, man. If I took every comment that comes through here on YouTube, on whatever, on Reddit that I see, I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't make it. There's no way. I would get down on myself. I would do this and this. And like, you can't take every single thing personally. Context matters. I just, you know who Cam is as a person. He's going to say what he feels, and like, so be it. That's one of the things I do appreciate about Cam Newton. He will say whatever he wants. He is not a yes man that is tied up in, the Carolina Panthers organization. And I like that he'll say what he wants about the team. People, I mean, when you look at part of Steve Smith bickering, it was because he said he was upset that Cam Newton had been bashing the Panthers recently, or in a few years, whatever it was. Anyways, folks, that's all that I have on that. Who knows how long this will go? Some people are like, oh, yeah, I see Cam's side now. Like, dude, I saw it from the start. People just overreacted because it was the thing to do. It's a thing to have an opinion, to have a reaction, to have an overreaction, to side with one person over another, to get invested in beef and drama. And I'm not here for it. Not here for it at all. Now, here's another story that's top of mind for me on this Free for All Friday, and it has to do with the safety room. Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer, friend of the show, fantastic reporter, beat writer for the Carolina Panthers. Today, he posted a new article talking about the safety position for the Carolina Panthers, and I added my personal note when I retweeted this for him, and I wanted to bring it up. I'm not going to actually share it on the screen for you guys, but I will read it for those that are following on YouTube. We'll read it up here in just a second. And what a wild day as I pull that up. Aaron Rodgers officially out with the New York Jets. I don't think anyone's surprised. I will be more surprised if he is back on an NFL roster next year as a player. I was about to say as a coach. I don't know who's going to take the gamble. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Everyone says he needs to continue the Brett Favre route and go to the Minnesota Vikings, continue his time, the whole thing. It's so true, though. Packers, Jets, and Vikings close it out, just in the whole thing. It would be quite the story. Vikings have some decisions to make, and I don't know if Sam Darnold's in the future. Speaking of Sam Darnold and the Jets, that also would be just mind-blowing. I know a lot of things have changed, but if Sam Darnold went back to the New York Jets, I mean, the jersey mock-up's already there. We know what it's going to look like. All right, let's get back on track. So Mike Kay tweeted out, let's see what he actually said. One of the Panthers' defensive positions could see a wholesale change this offseason with 4 vets heading to free agency, and Carolina coming off the worst scoring and rushing prevention campaign in the NFL. The remodeling of the safety position or room is paramount. I agree. This is what I said. So this has been, to me, this story and idea around the safeties has been more fascinating over all this talk about the edge. Because when you think about the edge position, we have players on the team. Yeah, I know they're not perfect. We know we're going to have to get somebody. We're going to have to address it some way. We don't have a safety. We have Damani Richardson, who's good. He's not starting. He's not a starting caliber safety, in my opinion. Xavier Woods, gone. Nick Scott, Fuller, Sam Franklin, folks, too. I hate to burst your bubble if you're a Sam Franklin fan. He's great. Fantastic special teams guy. He is not a starting safety. And like you, Panthers fans sometimes latch on to players and they get like, oh man, this is the guy I really want. And that's great. But we got to get better. We're a very bad football team. And I don't know that we want to waste another roster spot on a guy that's not really going to compete and start and give us caliber safety play. Anyways, pretty much what I said. Richardson is great, but not sure he's ready for prime time. As much as we want to focus on edge, it's clear the Panthers will have to draft at least 1, possibly 2 safeties. I'd say maybe at least 1, depending on free agency. And it's not, in my opinion, it's not like there's 4 capable safeties that are floating around there. I mean, this team's going to have to carry 4 to 5 safeties. That's just how we've done it, how they've done it. So it's not like there's a abundant source. You're going to have to be looking at a lot of cheap contracts, but the Panthers should at least capitalize and try to get one kind of, knock it out the park safety, possibly draft one to go with him. And again, folks like to throw out Sam Franklin's name. Great special teams player, but not the best starting caliber safety. And let's not forget this whole situation with the safety room, the safeties. I don't know that we would be as bad as we are if things had worked out or we figured it out with Jeremy Chin. That's out the door, but I'm just stating what we know, Jeremy Chin and Jamie Robinson. I think things may be a little bit different if they pan out. Jamie Robinson, a little bit smaller, like I'm not as much, but Jeremy Chin, for sure. Water under the bridge, it's all gone. We're not going to, sit back and just cry over this. We're going to just let it go. But seriously, if those things pan out, it's totally different structure for the Panthers. They tried to draft, it didn't work. It's the same thing with wide receivers. You tried to draft wide receivers, they just didn't hit. So I'm curious to see how this overhaul plays out. To me, Malachi Starks is very much in play at pick number 8 or via a trade back. If the Panthers trade back, and you also have to look at the safety out of University of South Carolina, he's also in the mix. Panthers are going to have to get up. In my mind, they're going to have to draft a safety early on top of the edge, on top of all their other needs. So we're just going to have to see how this whole thing plays out in free agency. But to me, safety's still up there. Last thing I'll say as we close out this episode is get prepared for the letdown. What the heck does that mean? Well, there's been all this talk. Fans like to push stories and narratives, and I don't blame them. Around a T. Higgins, they have pipe dreams for a Garrett Wilson, trading for a Micah Parsons, like all these guys, DK Metcalf, whoever it is that you are focused on right now, I would say get ready for a letdown. Not that something's not going to happen, but I think a lot of fans have a lot of hopes and dreams. Panthers have not been aggressive for players that are not a quarterback. And I know things have changed in the front office. It's not the same. But to me, I think the Panthers are who they are. And I don't know if it's in their DNA to do this. I would love for the Panthers to figure it out. How do you bring in a Garrett Wilson? How do you convince T. Higgins to come here? Can you afford it? All those things into consideration. I'm just here to say, I don't know. Panthers are probably low in the pecking order for a lot of these folks. And the trade requests and all that. People want to go to contenders. Maybe in a year or two, Panthers are in the mix to bring some of these guys over. We'll find out. But anyways, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. As always, this is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.